Hey folks, me back again. It's the 2nd of July. I believe it's Sunday. And I'm out here in this park again. I'd like to come out here and sit down at this table, bench, and overhead shade structure that I built for my Eagle Scout project way back in 2004. And what I'm doing, like in my free time right now, while I wait to hear back from the headhunters, which I should start hearing back tomorrow, Tuesday, July the 4th. Tuesday is July the 4th, so they'll be closed that day, but Monday I should be getting some calls, and I'll be monitoring my phones. But in the meantime, what I'm doing is, obviously, like, filling my time with, like, reading some books, trying to get the 48 Laws of Power finished, and I'm programming. I'm going through some tutorials. If you notice on my channel, I'm not sure if it shows up or not, but I have 2 Java programming tutorial series that I've added. They're not mine. I didn't make them, but they're there because that's where part of my focus is, at least. And since I'm on my YouTube account, every day I at least check in once or twice. But when I'm on there, I'm using those links to go to the playlist to work through the different parts of the tutorials and essentially get a 2D a 2D tower defense game written in Java up and running. And the tutorial series number 1 I'm working through right now. I did work through number 2 a few years ago, but basically redoing that to get my programming knowledge in Java. My idea is that my plan is, as far as that stuff is concerned, to get more like specific actionable, is to complete both the tutorial series. So I'll have two 2D tower defense games written in Java, and then I can try to combine the two. Insofar as, like, if I could take the game from tutorial number 2 and then add some stuff using techniques from tutorial series number 1, because from what I remember with the second tutorial series, when I completed that, I had essentially a running game that I could just expand to how many levels I wanted. It was just a matter of creating different text files and then loading those text files in the game. When you complete level 1, then you load when you start the game, you would load the text file for level 1, then you complete level 2, load the text file for level 2 to play the level 2 basically, and then rinse and repeat. Level 3's text file gets loaded, 4, 5, and so on. And if you wanted 100 levels, you could just, as long as you could find a way to alterate the numbers in the text file such that you actually have a new level, you could do that, or you could change the number and types of enemies, and you create different variations or permutations of the original setup for, like, let's say level 1. But my thing, well, 2 things that I wanted to do. My 2 things I wanted to do with that game was, for one thing, add some sort of nice wrapping to it, so to speak, where you'd have like a launch screen, then a menu level, and then some various pages like info pages, settings pages, that sort of thing. And at the end, sort of close out credits. You completed the game, congratulations. This game was made by me. In this language or whatever, and I could just have this sort of thing packaged together like that. And then the next thing was that I wanted to do, and I hope, I don't know if I'll get it done this summer or not, but I wanted to take that game that would be designed to run on a laptop or a desktop, and then port it to Android, and that would greatly expand my programming knowledge, and I would have a nice polished product completed. And I would be able to say that I had a really sound knowledge of Java at that point. The other language I want to learn is Python, but it's kind of like one thing at a time. So I'm just doing that, my free time, trying to make the best use of my free time while I wait to hear back on those jobs. And I will get my hands on those textbooks, because I'm studying chemical engineering, but having a software engineering or software developing knowledge on the side is really good. in part because a lot of engineers just end up writing code for running tests or writing stuff for software for devices or what have you. Even if you're not necessarily a software engineer or software engineering major or comp sci major or computer engineering major, you end up doing that kind of stuff from what I've seen in all the job listings. So doing that aside, but my main focus as far as academics is concerned is chemical engineering, and I'll be repeating a couple classes this fall, and it's kind of like I've said in the last video, it's like kind of like my last chance of that. So I'll have to make best use of my time to get to that point. Other than that, just continuing on with life as it is, and just applying things that I've learned for dealing with stress and anxiety, and even like stuff like depression and whatnot that I'm having to face once more now that I'm back home. My ear's kind of itching, but anyways, I'm back home. My parents and my dad's gone on a trip, so I have to be here for a week. It's just a plan, and then obviously trying to land some sort of job. But my ideal situation would be to have a job back up north where I have my own place and I wouldn't have to stay here and deal with family drama and the stress and anxiety that comes along with that, and the feeling of regressing back to the way things were before I moved out, which was a time when I was a PMO addict. I could still say that I have an internet addiction or social media addiction to some extent, but in some sense I have changed my mental associations with the internet and with social media, in a really significant sense, because I'm no longer a PMO addict. I feel like I'm at least, at the very least, in recovery. I'm not just addicted. I'm at least in recovery, if not just free of that, and just working on making this just a life sort of thing, to the point where 1,000 days in the future, like I'm not really even thinking about Nofap day, whatever, but having to really face a lot of those same scenarios, situations, the garbage that was my life back then. And like I said, back then I was a PMO addict, so it's kind of like I'm feeling like I'm being pulled back towards that state. I don't see myself relapsing. I don't see myself binging or that kind of thing, because I understand a lot of my thought processes now, and that's really the big thing. Matt's what it is that has talked about this even before, at least in my experience, and even before that, Off the Train talked about this sort of stuff. But understanding your thought processes, what your mind does and how it works on an individual basis, such that you can recognize yourself going in that direction of PMO or alcohol, tobacco, drugs, whatever it is that is your drug of choice. I understand a lot more of how I think nowadays, such that if I'm starting to feel like that, for instance, like I'll go for a walk, I'll come out here to this park, I'll hop on YouTube and bring up clips that integrate development environment, I'll start programming. I really would like to get back to exercising, but that's something that is easier for me to motivate myself to do when I'm up north. It just, I feel younger when I'm up there. I feel younger, and I feel freer, and I feel just more motivated. And even though I'm 30, I'll feel like a 20-something-year-old guy, early 20s, and seeing the point of it all, But right now, for me, it's kind of like I'm mentally just kind of on lockdown, trying to just get through this week. But as far as Nofap is concerned, given this is going to be added to that vlog series or playlist, I am feeling like mentally, emotionally, like being pulled back to that state that I was in when I was a PMO addict. But like I said, and I'm repeating myself obviously multiple times, but it's a really big point. I feel that once you really get to the nitty-gritty, once you dig into your subconscious, so to speak, and you figure out what are your real reasons for being that much into PMO such that Nofap really is a thing for you. Because Nofap, to me is like, it's not really, it's not a pickup artist trick. It's not some sort of, get these superpowers sort of a, technique or system. It's not a challenge. It's not, and I used to think about it to a certain extent like that. I mean, I wanted to gamify Nofap to make it a little bit, a little more mentally palatable and digestible. I didn't want to dive into thinking like, oh, I'm an addict, and have that sort of reminder day in and day out. But eventually you get to the point where like you realize that you've tried this for so many dang times and you're still relapsing, you're still binging. Well, obviously there's something more than this just being a challenge, or you watching pornography or pornography substitutes in anything approaching a healthy manner. And that's where Nofap became something to me, where something substantial to me, to the point that I had to examine my thought processes, because that's really how you end up breaking addiction. I use the internal family systems model therapy approach. It's kind of like a self-therapy sort of thing. Off the Train was the one who brought it up to me, brought it to my attention. And once I figured out that parts of me and parts of my psyche were basically crying out for attention because they had been hurt or were in trauma or pain, and that pain needed to be resolved, that trauma needed to be resolved. And once I really started contending with that, pornography substitutes, masturbation, the sort of obsession with orgasm, that kind of stuff lost its hold on me. So, other than updating you folks on like where my life stands right now, day to day, and that sort of thing, my big takeaway point, and this is kind of to a certain extent inspired by some of Matt's what it is content recently. But my big takeaway point as far as Nofap is concerned is that, like, and it's something that again he's emphasized, other folks have talked about, Off the Train's talked about, but you really need to figure out like how your mind works, and once you do that, you can dig deeper than just the triggering material or what have you, because it's like at this point, obviously, like, I know if I go on YouTube, I go on Facebook, there are gonna be times where I'm gonna see stuff that's well, I don't know if it's a fly or a bee, but anyways, you're gonna see like, or I'll end up seeing stuff that has some maybe not necessarily sexual nature, but it's suggestive. I mean, obviously you can find stuff that essentially is pornography on YouTube if you really wanted to look for it. But even if you're not looking for that sort of stuff, you're looking for Nofap content, which is tangentially connected to it, insofar as it's no FAP, no PMO. You're gonna come across that kind of stuff, but once you really figure out what it is about that gives you that sort of, or gives it that sort of power over you, and you take that knowledge and start applying it such that like the hold is broken, whether that means finding other sources of dopamine, so to speak, such that you both intellectually and viscerally understand that there are other ways to get that, release, that relaxation, that fulfillment, release that feeling of fulfillment. Or it means just getting over the trauma that you went through as a kid or as an adolescent or as a young adult, such that PMO became, this big thing for you. Once that happens, I feel that triggering stuff pretty much goes out the window, and the addiction goes along with it, At least that's been the case for myself. So I haven't felt the desire, the real visceral desire, not the intellectual, like, what if desire, but the real visceral desire to go back to those, porn sites. And I mean, I know I could find them if I really wanted to, it's like, it's just a Google search and a few clicks away, and bam, you're there, If you really want it, the desire is there. But if the desire is not there, then, unless you're being strapped to a chair and being forced to watch it, you know, likelihood is you're not going to go and see it, and you're going to go and watch it. So that's my big message, I guess, as far as this video is concerned. Just updating you guys on where I'm at, and encouraging you to guys to look into internal family systems model therapy, and just kind of figure out like what are the real underlying issues that gives porn and pornography substitutes like power over you, such that you know, if you're on Nofap, obviously you feel that it has a real pull to it, that it's an addiction and you feel you can't break free. Well, you can, but you have to really figure out what are the chains that tie you to that sort of thing. So anywho, before I repeat myself anymore and ramble on any further, I'm going to end this video here. Thanks for watching, folks. Thanks for taking the time out of your life to view my content, to like, comment, and even subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you folks around. Bye.